Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, January the 4th. It's race number 10 at Parx, one of 3 stakes races postponed exactly a week after racing was abandoned at Parx in the final week of December due to frozen temperatures which caused unsafe track conditions. This race is the $75,000 Mrs. Claus. These are fillies and mares 4-year-olds and up. We're going 7/8 of a mile, and let's take a look at this field. Please scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile. This is a fantastic betting race, in my opinion. Trainer Jonathan Wong is going to send out 2 horses in here. The upwardly mobile number 8, My Kentucky Girl, who earned a stakes placing against fellow 3-year-olds back then in the Youngstown Oaks, and the number 10, Empire House, who was graded stakes placed in 2022 in Southern California and is coming off of a sort of a tough race flow situation in the grade 3 Chaluki. She's getting some class and distance relief. We look at the Timeform US pace projector. We see the number 7 expected to make the early lead, and I wholeheartedly agree. Liskolvin is very, very fast, and if she can get to the front and relax a little bit, she has quality speed, and she could take this field a long way. Now, 7/8 of a mile, a little bit of a question mark for Liskolvin. Center Court Champ, breaking from the inside post, does have good speed. This is going to be her stakes debut. She's in very good form, and I'm assuming the plan is going to be that she's going to break running, and if Liskolvin clears, try to get to the outside for a 2-path prompting trip. Let's start with the number 1, Center Court Champ, for trainer Robert Moscow. Won her last 2 races in very impressive fashion, including this second level allowance at Parx, going 6.5 furlongs last month. She pushed a fast 3-ply pace while 3 wide, attacked on the turn to make the lead very comfortably, and draws off as much the best with a career best 88 Beyer speed figure. She's going to have to navigate 7. She's been doing her best running recently at 6, 6.5, but the way she finished off that last race after pushing a pretty solid pace makes me think that 7/8 is well within her grasp. She should get close to the pace as the pace projector indicates, and Center Court Champ is in raging form right now. The number 2 is MoMA Tiger. Very nice price on the board at 10-1 on the morning line. Let's watch her last race. She was 3rd in the Cornucopia stakes race at Parx. This was her first race off a fairly significant layoff, and she ran quite well to be 3rd. The 4th place finisher would come back to run 3rd in a stakes race in New York with an 86 Beyer speed figure. MoMA Tiger is a horse that's been competing at varying distances throughout her career, but I like her stretching back out a half furlong to 7 in her second start of the form cycle. She was in very good form in the early spring at different racetracks, Penn National, Charlestown, Laurel, and she really fits at this level. And I think with her tactical speed, she's adaptable to any kind of pace scenario. I don't think she'll fall too far behind, going 7, and is a horse at a price that you might want to consider. The number 3 is Pistol Liz Ablazin. Like Center Court Champ, a horse stepping up in class but in excellent form. This is her most recent race. Now, this is a 2-turn race, her first time going 2 turns, and it's over a sloppy track, a 2-life allowance at Parx on October the 25th. Pistol Liz Ablazin got up close to the pace, and she just dominated this field in the stretch. She beat 3 next out winners in this spot. I talked to her trainer, Butch Reed, and was sort of curious, why this spot for her first stakes appearance? Reed said that he was thinking about running her back in a 2-turn allowance race. That race didn't fill. He gave her plenty of time. Here she is, Paco Lopez, named to ride. 8-1 on the morning line for a filly that is sharp with a lot of upside potential. By the Best is the number 4, and By the Best, a multiple stakes winner in 2021. Couldn't reach the winner's circle last year, but had sort of a limited campaign. Only 5 tries. She's coming out of the Safely Kept Stakes at Laurel, going 7/8 of a mile. It was a race in which she didn't break very well, came with sort of an even run to pass a few tired horses. I wonder if she's as good or much better, certainly, than she was in 2021. I just don't see that improvement for By the Best. She obviously has back races that make her competitive. She's a good price on the tote. She just may need to find her best stride. The 5 is Trolley Ride, who made her first start off the claim last time out, turning back to 6.5 at Parx, and she finished an even 5th behind MoMA Tiger. She didn't get off to a great start in that race, but she's the kind of mare that needs a little bit of pace. She's really never great from the gate. She usually falls far behind, and she's going to need a lot of pace help if she's going to overcome this group. She is a Pennsylvania bred that's won 11 times and almost $500,000. You never want to count her out. I also like her at slightly longer distances, so she may need a little bit of a pace meltdown. She has a lot of back class. Deco Strong is the number 6. This is another one one that needs a little bit of pace help up front. She's coming out of a stakes race at Mahoning Valley. I thought it was an okay field, maybe not the strongest in the world. This could be a sort of a lateral class move for trainer Flint Stites. 75 buyer in that race. She was in for a $75,000 tag at Delaware 2 starts back. She finished behind by the best. She's sort of been running in her place in the last 3 starts. She made her first start off a little bit of a layoff at Penn National with a win against Statebred Stakes competition, going 3/4 of a mile. She's going to have to run to that race and arguably a little bit better from a figure standpoint if she's going to upset this group. 20-1 on the morning line. Your projected speed is the number 7, Liz Colvin, and she made her stakes debut last time. Good try in the safely kept going 7/8 at Laurel. She ran into one of the Mid-Atlantic's better 3-year-old filly sprinters, swaying to and fro, who would win this race and then would come back to win a stake at Laurel, the Willa on the move with a 94 buyer speed figure. Liz Colvin showed good pace, held well for second. She's going to be the speed in this race with an alert break, and she showed 2 starts back that when she is able to get to the lead and even face a little bit of pressure, she can sprint on home. 7/8, somewhat of a concern, as I mentioned earlier, but she's going to be in front. Frankie Pennington listed to ride 6-1 on the line. My Kentucky Girl earned a big buyer speed figure 2 starts back at Keeneland, going this 7 furlong distance. That was a first level allowance race, and she received a beautiful ride from Chris Landeros that day. She hopped a little bit at the start, was far behind, and Landeros sort of weaved his way through traffic with My Kentucky Girl. She was very late to change leads, but once she did, she shot on through along the inside, and she was getting away from that group late. They ran her in the Youngstown Oaks, a race for 3-year-old fillies at Mahoney, and cut her back to 6 furlongs, and she was just out-sprinted in the early part of that race. Fell far behind, came with a nice run to be second. The pace was fast, which did aid her late kick, but My Kentucky Girl showed that she can hang at the stakes level. She's so lightly raced. I'm still not sure we've seen her best yet, and if there is a little bit of pace, My Kentucky Girl just might be the best of the closers. J.D.'s Vista is the number 9. J.D.'s Vista's got a little bit of a closing kick as well. She ran 3rd in this race. The $8,000 starter allowance at Parx on December the 9th, and J.D.'s Vista got a fast pace to attack. She fell behind, she came with a run, and she finished 3rd. I don't think she is of the caliber of closers as some of the others in this field, most notably MoMA Tiger, My Kentucky Girl, but she is in good form right now. She's hit the board in 5 of her last 6 starts. This is a big step up in class, however, and that might work against her. Empire House, conversely, is dropping in class. She's raced in graded stakes in 3 of her last 4. Last time out at Churchill Downs, she dueled with a shorter-priced winner on a pretty solid pace, and she tired badly. The 4th-place finisher returning to run second in a stake at Oaklawn with an 84 buyer speed figure. Her prior effort, the Grade 2 Zenyatta, earned her a very valuable black-type placing, going 2 turns at Santa Anita. 7 furlongs, I think, is going to be right in her wheelhouse. I like horses cutting back, especially to this 7 furlong distance. Her last victory came sprinting at the Sacramento Fair over the summer on dirt in Northern California. Empire House at 15-1. There are certainly worse 15-1 shots, considering she's getting significant class relief. 90% Bryn is the number 11. Here's her most recent race, finishing second in a second-level allowance, going 2 turns over a muddy track back in October. In another situation where the pace was solid, considering the wet track, very wide turning into the stretch, and she finished second, the 4th-place horse coming back to win. 90% Bryn has been entered in various spots since that race, and it seems like weather has been her major obstacle and hurdle to get to the races. 90% Bryn has been even from a buyer speed figure standpoint, ranging between 70 and 72 in her last 3 starts. She cuts back to 7, and she has run well at this distance in the past. Maybe that's a wake-up call for her, but again, I'm concerned that she's going to fall far back in the early stages and have too much to do turning for home. Before we get to my top selection, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Forum YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV videos. Top pick time for our Wednesday race of the day, it's the Mrs. Claus Stakes. I'm hoping that the number 1, Center Court Champ, can keep on rolling. She's won her last 2 in impressive fashion. Now she's going to do it against stakes competition, but with her tactical speed, she should be right in the mix when the field turns into the stretch. 1 of 3 stakes races at Parx on Wednesday is the Mrs. Claus. For 4-year-olds and up, going 7/8 of a mile. Best of luck.